welcome back or welcome to my YouTube channel. Today we're going to be doing my 2024 book tags of the books that I've read this year. This year I read 47 books, and of those 47, I've put them into different book tags. Not all of them, but most of them. So let's get started. Our first one is my worst book of the year, like the book that I think was the worst. I hated it. I hated reading it. I think I even DNF'd it actually, but it was The Breakup Vacation by Anna Garcia. I just didn't vibe with this one. I think it was the writing. It was a good concept of a story, but I didn't like the characters. I didn't like the writing style. All bad. And it's just no thank you. The biggest disappointment this year, I'm actually really disappointed by it, was Hooked by Emily. I don't know how to say her last name, but I was so looking forward to this, and it just did not meet the expectations that I had in my head. I really wish this focused more on not the relationship between Hook and Wendy, but more of the rivalry between Hook and Peter. But I did like the twists and turns in it, so that's just my opinion on this one. Most overhyped. In my opinion, it was Caraval. I liked it at the start, and then it just went downhill from there. I did not like it. I won't finish it. The series, I finished the book. I won't finish the series. I know my best friend, she reads similar books to I do, and she loves this series so much, and I'm like, I don't get the hype. I don't like it. A book that surprised me this year was A Fate Inked in Blood. I loved this book. I was expecting to just like it, but I loved it. It was definitely a 5-star read. Highly, highly recommend. It's pretty much, let's see. The main character's name is Freya, and literally any main character named Freya is amazing. Pretty much she has a really abusive husband, and then he dies, and she has this magical power and falls in love with a prince that she really shouldn't have. Yeah, and it's this whole thing, and I love this book so much. Highly recommend. My favorite couple of this year. There's good couples, but this one stood out, and I recommend this to everybody. It Happened One Summer by Tessa Bailey. Piper and Brendan is his name. I loved this couple. Yes, there's some spicy scenes, but I highly recommend this book. Tessa Bailey does have some Christmas books that I know. Khalilah, she read Wreck the Halls and another Christmas book by Tessa Bailey, and in my opinion, Tessa Bailey's Christmas books are not the best, but when it comes to her other books, I love them so much. So this couple, the banter was amazing. It's enemies to lovers, Grumpy Sunshine. It's so sweet. He does stuff for her and she doesn't even know it. Oh my god, it's amazing. It's city girl goes to small town, and he's the small town boy, that it's multiple tropes in one, and I loved it. It's 3 answers. It is my favorite main character, so this will pop up later, but Six of Crows by Leigh Bardugo. It has so many good characters, but Kaz Brecker and Inesh, I don't know her last name, those main characters are just absolutely amazing. I highly recommend them. I loved when their chapters came up. They were long, but I didn't care because it was Kaz Brecker and Inesh. They also have this little love that I know the fandom of Six of Crows fandom really wants them to get together, but spoiler if you haven't read it, skip ahead 10 seconds. They don't get together. They don't. There is a small scene, but they don't, and I'm really disappointed. But Kaz does stuff for her that's so sweet, And I remember specifically a line that, do I have this later? No, I don't. But I specifically remember a line that he says toward the end of the book, like, I'm going to get my money and I'm going to get my girl. Because, also spoiler for the end of Six of Crows book, and now she gets kidnapped. How that is possible, I don't know, but whatever. So, and then that leads into the Crooked Kingdom, also by Lee Berdugo, which is the second book of the Six of Crows series. Also, one thing that is not publicized enough, read Shadow and Bone before Six of Crows. Say it louder. Shadow and Bone before Six of Crows. It's just, that's how the timeline works, and it makes so much more sense. The show did not do that. The show put them together, and they are not supposed to go together. Anyway, another main character, this is the third one, is Beatrice from Most Agreeable Murder. She is, like, top 10 girl boss. Like, I love her so much. She solves a murder when nobody else could, because, you know, she's a woman, and, like, during this time period that she lives in, she's like, women are supposed to be, like, seen as, like, trophies and just, like, arm candy, pretty much. And she's like, no, F that. Like, this is amazing. Like, I love this book, because she pretty much solves a murder with, like, a grumpy detective dude, which they have a little bit of banter, and I, like, love it, because she, like, makes snide remarks to her, because she's not afraid to say what she feels. So, I love this book. New favorite author is our next category. I have multiple. The first one that comes to my mind is Rebecca Yarros for Fourth Wing. She did that book so well. I'm not counting her as like, oh my gosh, I love her, because I've only read one of her books. Same thing with Holly Black for Cruel Prince. I love this book, but also, again, this is the first book of the Cruel Prince series, and I haven't read her other books yet. So just by this book, she was amazing, mostly because she was able to create this really, really cute relationship, and I loved the two main characters, or the love interest in the main character, without, like, spice or anything. Like, there was none of that, and it was amazing. I love that she made that relationship. Also, I don't have these books right now. I do have Fourth Wing, but Fourth Wing you'll see later. T.J. Klune. I loved that author. I didn't think I would. His books were sitting on my shelf for a while, and after some time, you're like, I don't really want to read that, but that's it. I loved him. Like, I read Under the Whispering Door and House in the Carillion Sea. I loved those books so much. I was so sad when I had to give them back to my aunt, because they were my aunt's, but highly, highly recommend those books. I'm so looking forward to reading more of his books, just because those books were so amazing. Definitely 4 5-star reads. Okay, our next book tag is the longest book that I read this year, and this recently just changed, because I literally just finished this book, like, the other day, and it was A Court of Mist and Fury by Sarah J. Maas. This was a good book. It was just, there's nothing really much to say about it. It was just really long. It was about 800 pages. And so, warning for this one. The shortest book that I read this year was The Summer I Turned Pretty. I don't remember exactly how many pages this was. Hold on. Oh, that's the epilogue. I don't want that. I will say that I didn't know this was a series, and I'm not going to be finishing this series. Okay, this book is 276 pages. Now this one is books, like a book series that I wish I got to. Well, the first one is the Harry Potter series. I read the first book and started the second book, like, years ago. But I just really want to get back into that, because I'm a Harry Potter girl. I love the movies, and like, my best friend's a Harry Potter girl, so I'm like, I feel like I gotta read the books. I feel like I'm missing out on something here. Speaking of my best friend, she gave me Once Upon a Broken Heart, which I have yet to read, and I've heard it's a really, really good series. So this is also another series that I will be starting next year, hopefully sometime. I don't know when, but hopefully sometime. Another one is also by Sarah J. Maas. Thankfully, it's a duology, so I can get that done pretty quick. But it's House of Earth and Blood, and I just now realized I said hopefully I get it done really quick, as it's that thick of a book. It's like, it's about 800 pages. So it's not terrible. It just seems bigger than A Court of Mist and Fury. But I'm looking forward to reading this series. And then also a duology is Ninth House by Lee Berdugo. And if you don't know, I am a huge Leigh Bardugo fan. I love all of her books. Shadow and Bone series is amazing. Six of Crows series, amazing. I have yet to read this one, and this one is actually not part of the Grishaverse, so I'm really excited to venture off of the Grishaverse, but still with the same author. I do have King of Scars. That is the series that you're supposed to read after Six of Crows by Leigh Bardugo, because it also takes place in the Grishaverse. So, and if you don't know what the Grishaverse is, then read the series. I'm not explaining it, read the series. I might explain it in another video, but read the series. So this one is books I cannot stop thinking about, aka like my 6-star reads of this year. A Court of Thorns and Roses. I love this book. I gave it like a 6 out of 5 stars when I first read it. Well, now I read the second book, and it's like, now I have different opinions on this book, but I'm still counting it as a 6 out of 5, because this really got me going on the series, and it like really hooked me in, and I cannot stop thinking about this. And now every time I think of like this series, I think of that book too, so they both kind of go hand in hand. Also, Six of Crows. Obviously I can't stop thinking about it because I mention it all the time, but this book, I had like dreams about it, and I didn't even realize I did. Like I was constantly thinking about it. People would say names similar to this book, or even just mention this book, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I love this book so much, and I like will not ever stop thinking about it. Same thing with Fourth Wing. I loved Fourth Wing. 6 out of 5. This is my maybe 7 out of 5. This is my favorite book of this year. I didn't want it to end. I got like here, like right there, which is like, this is the beginning, so like right there, like 10 pages in, and I was like, I don't want this book to end. I'm already in love with it. I love this book. That's what Rebecca Yarros does, at least in this book, and I do have Iron Flame that hopefully I will be reading next year. I loved the characters. I just loved everything about this book. I love dragons. I love the, like, can't stop thinking about it. So our next book tag is favorite quotes of this year. So I have 4, technically 3, because I don't really remember who said which one, but you might be able to help me out with that one. So the first one is from The Love Hypothesis. My favorite quote from this book is by On. I think that's, or Ah? I don't know, I assume it's not Ah, but I don't know how to say her name. I say On, but it's this girl. She says, I low-key hate myself for forcing you to do that stuff. Well, maybe not hate, but I'd write myself a strongly worded email. So I love the quotes that are just like generally funny and make me like burst out laughing. That quote made me burst out laughing. Like that's such, like, so fits her character and fits so many of my friends too. It's like, I don't hate you, but like, I'm gonna write a strongly worded email. Like, cause I know I've done that, and oh my goodness, it was so funny, especially with the context. Okay, and then this next one is from The Stardust Thief. I don't know if you've ever read it. It's not very popular, but it was decent. It was a decent book. This will come up, no, it won't come up later, just kidding. I changed my mind earlier. But there's 2 from this book, and I didn't write down who said it. Probably because I did not. It says he, but he doesn't really give us much context. But it says, not alone, he said, not anymore. And this character, I do remember, he was always like, oh, well, he was like a really, really powerful character. He's like, oh, I fought through this before, and I was all alone, and it really, like, hurt me at the end. And then all the other characters, like, that was the beginning of the book. And then later in the book, he was like, the powerful character was like really down. And then his friends were like, hey, bud, you're not alone. Not anymore. And I was like, oh my god. Also, it said forever and always. And it's like, I'll be with you forever and always. And that's just kind of really hits with me, because that's what like I say, and like me and my friends all say, and we're all like, oh, like, I love you, girl, like, see you later. And they're like, bye. And I'm like, forever. And they're like, and always. It's just, that really hit home that like I've never seen a book have that in their stories. It's so sweet. Okay, now this is the book that you kind of have to help me out with. So it is Eclipse by Stephanie Meyer. Oh, I forgot to say, The Love Hypothesis is by Allie Hazelwood, and The Stardust Thief is by Chelsea Dula. Don't really know how to say her last name. But in Eclipse by Stephanie Meyer, she was so funny with this quote. So this, so Jacob says, but I'm a werewolf and he's a vampire, like referring to Edward, and he's talking to Bella. And then Bella goes, and I'm a Virgo. I burst out laughing with that. That was hilarious. I had to put the book down and I was laughing for like a solid 30 seconds to a minute, and I don't really have out loud reactions when I'm reading, so that was a long time for me. That was so funny. So going back to what I said earlier is I love the really quotes that make me laugh out loud, but also I love the quotes that are like, oh my god, that's so sweet, you know? So there's a quote in here that says, look after my heart, I've left it with you. This is the one I need help with because I don't remember if it was Jacob or Edward that said that, and I didn't write it down in my notes app. So somebody help me out with that, but I loved that quote so much. Again, it was, look after my heart, I have left it with you. So sweet. One of our final questions, or book tags, not question, book tags, is most unique concept. So there was 2, and they were very different from anything I've read, and very different from each other. So this first one is The Hearts We Sold by Emily Lloyd Jones. I actually have a little signed thing in here. Yeah, from her, and which is funny because I got it from a garage sale. But anyway, I loved this book. It was probably one of the first 5 stars of the year. This book, the concept behind it is they literally had no hearts. They would make deals with a demon because they were in some dire situation. It was a group of these teenage kids, and they literally would give him their heart, and so they were just they were still living, but they didn't have a heart. And so toward the end of the book, they were on a mission to, one person could save their heart. And oh my gosh, the ending was so sweet. It was such a twist. It almost made me cry. Highly recommend this book because it's so unique and it's so different from everything else that I've ever read. Highly recommend The Hearts We Sold. Okay, and the final book is The Silent Patient. I've never read anything like The Silent Patient before, and it was just so many, it was so hard to wrap my brain around it because it was seeing it through one person's eyes, but at the same time it was through another person's eyes. And I know it's a really popular book, and it was just it was tricking my brain. I was whoa. Things would happen, and I'm whoa. So I had to set the book down, and I actually have to think about it. So it wasn't my favorite book, but I loved the concept once I wrapped my head around it because it was so unique. And our final question is my predictions for the new year. So my predictions for next year is that I will get to some of those series that I mentioned earlier. I will find some Harry Potter books. I know that I have the first 4 in my house, and then my aunt has the whole series, so I can borrow the rest from her. And then my reading goal for next year is I read 47 books this year. My goal is probably to read 50 next year. I know it's not a really big increase, but also my original goal for this year was 25 to 30. I got 47. Clearly I had more time on my hands than I thought. Anyway, I know next year I have a lot of new things coming up, so I don't know if I'll have a ton of time to read, so 50 to me is a really high goal, especially since I didn't make 50 this year. So we'll see if I'll do that, but I don't know. There's a lot of new things to come in the future, and I'm really excited for all of that to happen, and hopefully I get more books to read in the meantime, but it's the life of a reader. Anyway, hope you have a good day, good night, good afternoon, whatever time you're watching this. I'll see you in the next video. Bye!